Hey, let's continue in the Year of the Boar and Jackie Robinson by Bette Lord. We're continuing at February, a journey of 10,000 miles. The sea was not calm, nor deep green like jade. It drives like a fierce black dragon with chili peppers up its snout. And Shirley never saw the skies. She lingered in her bunk throughout the month-long journey to San Francisco, with no appetite for food, much less adventure. Mother, though, never faltered, as giant waves sent slippers, suitcases, tables, and the chair she sat in flizzling to and fro across the floor. She knit on, unperturbed. If she did cry out, it was not because she had crashed into the wall, but because she had dropped a stitch. Father had always claimed that his wife was like no other. It was true. Mother was unique. Everyday things like the tiniest little cute cockroach or a gentle tap on the back made her shriek. Extraordinary things did not alarm her. Shirley knew better than to ask Mother to remove a splinter. Even a droplet of blood made her cringe. Yet when Precious Coins was about to be born at the hospital miles away, with bombs falling like hailstones, it was Mother alone who soothed the frantic household and quietly delivered the baby. And now she, who had never dared to go even to the nearest market without a companion, had taken charge of their journey of 10,000 miles. At last the ocean ended, and the ship hiccuped to a halt at the harbor. Amitabha! The queasiness was gone. Shirley felt like Shirley again, not like a sick toad. Hurry, Mother said, taking her by the hand. We must not miss the train. Shirley could hardly keep up with her as she snaked her way through the crowd of travelers. At every stop, whether immigration or customs, she alone gave the magic password, for not once did they have to fill out the extra forms. Not once were their bags opened. All the inspectors seemed bewitched by the lovely, slim Chinese woman who was in such a hurry. Outside, there was a torrential rain. Somehow, Mother found a taxi, and it delivered them to the station not a minute too soon. Only when they were safe in their compartment, when nothing serious could go wrong, did Mother fret. What if your father is not there to meet us? But you wrote. What if the letter was lost, though? You sent me. I did? You told me so yourself. What if I made a mistake in the address? You couldn't have, not on all three. The what-ifs continued, and Shirley tried not to smile. It was so like Mother to tame a den of tigers and then jump at the sound of a kitten's meow. Throughout the journey across the United States, Shirley stared out the window of the train, but she remembered nothing of what she saw. Her thoughts were always with Father. Father, who knew how everything worked. Was he not an engineer with a diploma from Shanghai to prove it? Had he not explained why the stars twinkled and how submarines slunk beneath the seas? When she asked why people must die, he said, because we must make room and give others a turn to live. And he could fix anything. Lamps that refused to light, doors that squeaked, even quarrels. Except for the one between grandaunt and granduncle. Oh, how she missed him. As the wheels of the train clacked along the tracks, they seemed to chant, 4 more days, just 4 more days, 3 days, just 3 days, only 2, only 2, only 2, tomorrow, tomorrow, today! At last it was the hour when their year-long separation would end. Shirley clutched her seat, afraid joy would launch her through the ceiling and whisk her high above the clouds. She fixed her gaze on Mother, who twisted her handkerchief nervously, smiling at someone who was not yet there. Can we go now? Better wait till the train has come to a stop. You wouldn't want to fall and skin a knee just before you see Father. I'll be careful. We will be there soon enough. Now? The train is slowing down. Soon. Now. Now! Hand in hand, they made their way down the crowded aisle towards the exit, peering out the windows at the people waiting on the platform. There he is, Mother whispered. Where? By the far pillar. I see him! Father! Father! Shirley freed herself and burrowed through the passengers to the door. Leaping off the train, she ran to the dapper man in a bow tie. He lifted her into his arms and swung her about, hugging her tightly. What disgraceful behavior! He exclaimed in a mocking tone so familiar that it made her teary. Has your mother taught you no shame embracing in public? Who are you anyways? Father, it's me, Shirley Temple Wong. He shook with laughter. Shirley? Where'd you get such a name? She started to explain, but suddenly he was still. He set her down. Before them stood Mother. Her face looked so solemn. His did too. Something was happening. Mother did not blink when a man smashed a bottle nearby. Father did not react when another jostled him. For a long moment, Mother and Father simply glowed as if they were caught in a spell. Father bowed. It is good that you are here, my wife. It is good to be here, my husband. Mother too bowed. Taking one of Father's hands in her left and one of Mother's in her right, Shirley jumped up and down. Take us home, Father! Take us home! Home was Brooklyn, New York. But Shirley would not know that for a while. To her, it was simply Maygur, beautiful country. In the taxi, her parents talked in whispers while Shirley oogled the tall buildings. But no matter how she scrunched, she could not see if their roofs curved skyward like the temples of China or topped with straw like the homes of peasants. Now and then she waved, even through the streets, as wide as straight as the airstrip in Chongqing, were empty. Where were the bicycles and rickshaws, the mules and the carts? How did people market? There were no peddlers or farmers' stalls, but strangest of all, where were all the people? In Chongqing, there were always people. Surely somebody lived in those tall buildings. Surely could not know that it was Sunday, a day when everybody stayed put, except to go to church, and the tall buildings held only offices. As the taxi approached the Brooklyn Bridge, Shirley gasped. She wanted to jump out and touch it. Never had she seen anything like it before, not even in pictures. How was it held upright? Surely not by the ropes that looked like Mother's knitting stretched out. Sometimes Shirley wondered why she was not afraid, but there was too much magic in this new place for her to question it. And besides, she was with Father. Once more she took his hand. Soon after crossing the bridge, the taxi stopped. The houses were short, just a few stories high. They were built of stone and they all looked exactly alike. They stood directly on the street, unprotected by garden walls. Steps leading to doors went up and down from the ground. We are here, Father announced. Shirley's new home was on the 3rd floor. Altogether, the place was barely larger than her own room had been in the clan compound. But her disappointment did not last, for Father was so proud of it. Look at these walls, he boasted. I spent an entire week cleaning every inch with a scoring pad. A sofa and chair, covered in a faded floral pattern, sagged where people had sat. Set against the wall was a square table and 3 straight-backed chairs without dragon feet. In the middle of the room was a plain, unlacquered screen. It hid the only purchase Father had made, a brass bed for 2. Where will I sleep, Father? Ah! Father opened a door. For you, my daughter, a most special place. Behind the door was a place with drawers up to the ceiling on both sides. Pulling out the bottom ones, he flipped them over and set them side by side, then placed 3 cushions over them. A fine bed for you. Try it. Shirley lay down. I knew it, Father beamed. Just your size. Shirley nodded, although she wondered what would happen if she grew another inch. Perhaps Father had thought she had attained her full height. Come along, I'll show you the kitchen. It did not look at all like a kitchen. No hanging ducks or hams, no woodpile or soot, no picture of the kitchen god. Just a tiny room with a washing bowl and 2 white boxes. Where is the cook? Mother asked. This time Father's crooked smile was even more crooked than usual. In America, all cooks work in restaurants. Must we eat out for every meal? Shirley wondered. In America, Father continued, the wife cooks. Then we shall starve, Shirley thought. Unlike the aunties, Mother had never had any interest in preparing food. Father opened the bigger of the white boxes. It's easy. Everything needed is in here. Eggs hung in the door. Bottles with colored fluids stood on a shelf. There were beans, spinach, and oranges in one drawer, slabs of meat in another. Peeking inside, Shirley got goosebumps from the cold, but she couldn't find a window. She tugged Father's coat. I don't see a window to the outside, she said. Father laughed. This is, Shirley tumbled along, an icebox, a machine that cools food and keeps it from spoiling. In America, you only have to mark it once a week, not every day. And I suppose that in America, the wife does that too. That's right! For a moment, Shirley thought Mother was going to cry, but she didn't. After a while, she said, well then, I shall learn how to cook and chop. And launder too, my wife. But for cooking and washing, you will have help. Mother sighed. Thank Buddha for the servant. No, not that kind of help, smiling as he did whenever he was about to reveal a wonderful secret. Father struck a match and put it to the top of the second white box. Poof! Out came blue fire. Off went Mother to hug the wall. Ah! A stove fit for a banquet! Father laughed. Shirley dared not. Father opened another door. Behind it was what Shirley recognized as a tiny room for bathing, even though the tub was neither tall nor round nor of wood. It was white, and inside stood a large metallic can. Father took out a hose and attached it to the nozzle at one end of the tub, and then twisting a knob, called forth water that filled the metal can to overflowing. Watch carefully, he said, looking up with that smile again. Mother stepped backwards, but Shirley, anxious to prove her mettle, leaned forward an inch. Are you watching? The new arrivals nodded certainly as he dumped a cupful of blue powder into the water. Then with a flourish, he plugged the attached wire into the wall. Chong, chong, chong! The metal can bounced, banging against the walls of the tub like a squat madman foaming at the mouth. The sight sent Mother out of the room. What is it? Shirley finally asked, hoping not to appear ignorant, but hoping more that the thing would not escape the confines of the tub and test her resolve. A machine that washes. Washes? He nodded proudly. For a moment, Shirley hesitated, then decided she had better speak up. Father, if you don't mind, I prefer to bathe alone. To her dismay, Father toppled over with laughter. Or was it pain? It was hard to tell from the way he kept trying to tame the expression on his face each time he opened his mouth. Obviously he wanted to say something, but could only make noises that sounded like sobs. Again and again and again, he shook his head at his foolish child. Too foolish, obviously, to appreciate such a marvel, one that must yet have cost him hundreds of dollars. Or worse yet, one that Father had invented himself. At last he spoke. Not you, bandit. Clothes. Clothes? All types of clothes. Your mother will love it. Shirley did not think so. The tour finished, Father took them for a walk around the neighborhood. All the streets looked alike. Each street was flat and painted black. There were no steep hills. Each house was a replica of theirs. Every place stuck to the next, wall to wall, without any gardens. No moon gates or fan windows or stone lions. Now and then a tree, but no flower beds. With no servants, how could there be gardens? But then, with no servants, there would be no awaiting marriage to spoil Shirley's fun either. Even the one bicycle she saw was strange. It had 3 wheels? Only a short distance from her house were stores. This is for groceries, Father said. That is for snacks, and this is the place where I buy my newspapers and the cigarettes. Shirley's stomach began to growl, and they returned home. Father prepared lunch, orange noodles out of a can. Mother smiled. So simple. Cooking in America will be no chore at all. When the dishes were done, friends arrived. Father introduced them as Mr. Hu, Mr. Tan, Mr. Lin, and Mr. Koo. They were all men working in America, anxious for news of home and family. Eagerly they queried Mother, drinking tea and smoking cigarettes. How proudly Father looked on. Before long, there were no more cigarettes. Father put on his coat to go out and buy more for his guests. Then a wonderful idea popped into Shirley's head. She would go for the cigarettes. Father, you stay. I'll go for the cigarettes, she said. You? I can find my way. You pointed the store out to me this morning. He looked pleased but skeptical. She had to convince him. Everybody was listening. On each face a grin, the knowing kind elders give to children. Shirley did not like it. Father must have sensed her discomfort, for he reached for her coat and said, "Let us go together then." "Father, please, let me go by myself." He looked towards Mother, who gave a quick but emphatic shake of the head. But before she could actually say no and ruin Shirley's plan, Shirley spoke up, twisting and turning, marking all the steps, as if showing off a fancy dance. "All I do is turn right at the bottom of the stairs, walk until the end of the block, then turn left until I reach the store, and to come back I turn right, then right again to our house, which is the second from the end and has a boat painted on the hallway light." The guests applauded. Knowing too well that Mother would not approve of her performance, Shirley never took her eyes off Father. He hung up his coat. Shirley stood tall as a warrior. Once Father made up his mind, Mother would not try to change it. Even Grandfather had despaired of trying, and that's why they were in America. Opening the door, Father said, "Say Lucky Strike. Rookie Psych. Tell the man in the store, Lucky Strike. Rookie Psych. You won't forget. Not I." With $1 to buy 4 packs, Shirley started off, skipping and chanting all the way. Right, left, rookie psych. Right, right, home. At the store, a skinny man with a big red nose welcomed her with a smile. Encouraged, she opened her mouth wide to pronounce her first English words for an American. Rookie psych. But instead of giving her the cigarettes, he rattled off a string of nonsensical sounds. What if she couldn't make him understand? She puffed on an imaginary cigarette and shouted again, "Rookie psych! Rookie psych!" This time he nodded, then shook his head. What does he mean, she wondered. Yes, he understood. No, he didn't. She was about to try again when he ran around the counter and took her by the hand to the door. Pointing to another store across the street, he shouted even louder than he had, "Rookie psych! Rookie psych!" Ah, now she understood. Yes, her English was most proper. No, he did not have Father's brand, but that other place did. Shirley thanked the man with a low bow, then hurried across the road, blushing. How awful it would be to have returned home without proof of her triumph. The woman in the second store was reading a book. Without glancing up when spoken to, she plucked down one, then another, until all 4 packs were safely in Shirley's hands. Simple! It was quite simple. Nothing to it at all, Shirley thought as she fingered the cellophane and walked proudly to the door. Turning right, she could almost see Father smiling at his amazing daughter as he passed cigarettes to the men, who shouted and clapped. Turning right again, she imagined Mother, teary with pride, reaching for a handkerchief. "Congratulations, Shirley Temple Wong! Congratulations!" At the steps of the house second from the corner, she stopped to straighten her coat and smooth her hair. In her moment of triumph, she must look her best. Holding the cigarettes with both hands like an offering to the gods, she marched up to the front door. Something made her look through the glass beside the wooden frame. There was the hall light. But where was the painted boat? She hurried to the street to see if it was indeed the second house from the corner. It was. Perhaps in her glory she had not walked far enough. She ran to the next street, to another second house. Again a hall light, but it was painted with a rose. She rushed across the street to the house facing. No light at all, just a lamp on a table. Quickly, Shirley retraced her steps. Her heart raced even faster than the patter of her shoes on the sidewalk. Now right, now left, but the store had disappeared. There was just another house like all the others. For a while she ran here and there, up every set of steps, looking for the boat. It was getting dark. Finally, she was too tired to look anymore. She sat down on the curb. Perhaps someone would come to her rescue, but no one passed. She was alone. Her hands were stiff from the cold. Tears fell on the cellophane. She didn't care. What had gone wrong? She asked herself. The directions were clear. Right, left, store. Right, home. Suddenly, she knew. She had gone to the second store and forgotten to start back from the first. Knowing did not help. She would never find the skinny man with the big red nose or the woman who read. She would never have another chance. What a fool she was. Nothing but a fool. Utterly ashamed, she hid her face in her arms. Someone tapped her shoulder. Looking up, she saw Father. He offered his hand, but not a word of rebuke. Silently they walked, hand in hand. With each step she felt better. At the first corner they met Mr. Tan. At the second, Mr. Hu, and so it went until all the guests had joined them. Not a one was unkind enough to mention why he was out roaming the streets. As they passed the cigarette store, Father began to sing. It was a marching song. One soldier sang when they returned victorious from battle. Everyone joined in. Later, Shirley wrote a letter to For's cousin and boasted how she had totally triumphed on her first day in Brooklyn. Naturally, she did not mention the little mishap. Why worry the clan unnecessarily? She would never be lost again. So, that's our chapter for today. Hope you liked it.